Hari Om, everybody. It's 10 o'clock. We'll get started. Om. 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 गणनान्त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजम् ब्रह्मणाम् ब्रह्मणस्पतान् शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामभित्यवत् ॐ गणेशाय नमः ॐ सरस्वत्यै नमः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः शुक्लाम्बरधरम् विष्णुम् शशिवर्णम् चतुर्भुजम् प्रसन्नवदनम् ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये वागीशाद्य सुमनसः सर्वार्थानामुपक्रमे यम् नत्वा कृतकृत्या स्युः तम् नमामि गजाननम् वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय कोटिसूर्यसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ब्रह्मानन्दम् परमसुखदम् केवलम् ज्ञानमूर्तिम् द्वन्द्वातीतम् गगनसदृशम् तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकम् नित्यम् विमलमचलम् सर्वधी साक्षिभूतम् भावातीतम् त्रिगुणरहितम् सद्गुरुम् तम् नमामि सद्गुरुम् तम् नमामि श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयम् करुणालयम् नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करम् लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करम् शङ्कराचार्य केशवम् बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परम् ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतम् करुणामयम् नमामि चिन्मयम् देवम् सद्गुरुम् ब्रह्मविद्वरम् यस्य सन्निधिमात्रेण सर्वे शिष्याश्च सेवकाः कर्मक्षेत्रे प्रवर्तन्ते चिन्मयम् तम् नमाम्यहम् चिन्मयम् तम् नमाम्यहम् Welcome back everybody. let's get started with our Viveka Choodamani sessions. Before we start, I just would like to wish all the women in the audience a happy Women's Day, all of us actually. And I want to start off by reading a good quote from our Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmaya. It's in our Vedic tradition that in India, from the very dawn of history, we have been respecting women to such an extent that our greatest scriptures today are also called Mother Shruti. So, since we are honoring all the women, I thought that was a good quote to read today before we started our class. So, let's start with our Mangala Charana Shloka. सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरम् गोविन्दं परमानन्दम् सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्. Since we had a few weeks of break because of some work schedule, let's spend some time with the verses and the topics that we have covered so far. The key takeaways so far in our journey on this text: that human birth is very rare. Moksha, liberation, is the ultimate goal of human existence. And this is possible only in human birth. We saw the three M's of Vedanta: Manushyatva, Mumukshutva, and Mahapurusha Samshraya. It is possible only with the grace of the Lord. Daivanugraha Hetukam. Then we understood that moksha is possible only through gnanam. Atmaikya bodhena vinapi mukti na siddhyati brahma shatantarepi. All other sadhanas are sahakari sadhana, means to that knowledge. Chittasya shuddhaye karma natu vastu upalabdaye. This knowledge is available only through Vedanta Shastra. In order for the study of the Shastra to be meaningful, and sandeha rahita, doubt free, we have to study under a qualified guru, a Shrotriya Brahmanishta guru. We saw in the beginning of the text some general qualifications of the student, that he or she is a medhavi, ability to relate, recollect from his or her experiences of life. He is a vidwan, equipped with some good general knowledge of the world, certain amount of intuitive knowledge. Uha apoha vichakshanam. He's got a good analytical mind to grasp the essence of the teaching. Then we discuss some specific qualifications, fourfold qualifications of the student, as I would like to call it, the 4 Ds of Vedanta: differentiation or Viveka, dispassion, Vairagya, Shama Adi Shakka Sampatti, that is Shama Dama Uparati Uparama, Titiksha Shraddha Samadhana Mumukshutva. Then finally Mumukshutva, the burning desire for liberation. Such a sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikari. This fit student has approached this Shrotriya Brahmanishta Guru and he is asking this question. What is the question? Unama bandha katamesha agataha katham pratisthasya katham vimokshah kosavanatma paramah ka atma tayor vivekah kathametadutchatam. In the Guru Shishya Samvada, the disciple has asked these 7 important questions. Konama bandha. What is this bondage? Katamesha agataha. How has it come to me? Katam pratisthasya. How does it continue to exist? Katam vimokshaha. How does one get out of this cycle? Kosavanatma. What is this anatma? What is this not self? Paramaha ka atma. What is this atma or paramatma? What is this self? Tayor vivekaha. What is the process of differentiation between the self and the not self? What is the process to differentiate between atma and anatma? Kathametat uchyatam. Please explain in detail to me. Every class, I keep repeating this because the answers to these questions cover the entire aspect of Vedanta, Vedanta Shastra. And as a part of these answers, first we started to explore what is anatma. So we covered Shariratraya Viveka in a few classes. What is Stula Sharira? What is this gross body made of? What is this Sukshma Sharira? Subtle body. What is this Karana Sharira? What is this causal body? We also used our Atma, Anatma, Viveka. Madiyatvena Gnatam Atma na Bhavati. Or we can say Stula Sukshma Karana Sharirad Vyatiriktaha. That which is beyond gross, subtle, and causal body. Then we covered Avastatraya Viveka. Jagrad Avastha or waking state, Swapna Avastha or dream state, Sushupti Avastha or deep sleep state. Again, to recap, why are we studying all this aspect of Anatma? Because of our Sat Swarupa Agnanam. I am ignorant of my true nature. And this ignorance, this primordial ignorance, can only be destroyed by self-knowledge, Atma-gnana. I experience these 3 states of my existence through the 3 bodies or equipment. Upon further inquiry, I use Drushya Viveka. I realize the 3 states of our existence. They come, they go. Agama, Apayi. They are not permanent. They are anitya. I apply Nitya Anitya Viveka. and I realize that I am avastatraya sakshi. I exist as that pure awareness. I exist as that witness principle, that sakshi swarupa, that there is in and through that which is in and through all these three states. I stand unnegated by them, which the Vedanta calls it as Turiya. Chaturtam Manyante. Then we explored the concept of universe and Maya. Avyaktanamni Paramesha Shaktihi Anadya Vidya Trigunatmika Para Karyanumeya Sudhiyaiva Maya Yaya Jagat Sarvamidam Prasuyate. Avyaktanamni Paramesha Shaktihi. She is this unmanifest power of the Lord. Anadya Vidya Trigunatmika Para. This wonderful power is Anadi, beginningless. We don't know when it all started. Trigunatmika. She is made up of the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamo Guna. We went through in detail prior to our little break here. Karyanumeya Sudhiyaiva Maya. Karya Anumeya. Through the effect, I draw the inference. Anumana Pramana. By who? Sudhiyaiva. The one who is blessed with a clear intellect. The one who infers the cause by seeing the effect. Yaya Jagat Sarvamidam Prasuyate. She brings forth and delivers this whole world. Prasava, remember that. We see this world that appears to be. Then we saw the classic definition of Maya. In 109. Sannapya Sannapyubayatmika no. She is neither existent nor non-existent. Sannapi Asannapi Ubhayatmika no. Bhinnapyabhinnapyubayatmika no. Sangapyasangapyubayatmika no. Maha Adbhuta Anirvachaniya Rupa. Bhinnapi Abhinnapi Ubhayatmika no. She is neither same nor different nor both. Sangapi Asanga Anangapi. She is composed of not composed of parts, not part in assembly nor whole. Then who is she? Maha Adbhuta Anirvachaniya Rupa. She is this mysterious wonder. She is this got this aghatita ghatana samarthyam, meaning she makes this impossible possible. Anirvachaniya Rupa. Sattasadbhyam Anirvachaniyam. It is an inexplicable phenomena. So if I cannot understand this Maya, its company, its effects, how can I overcome? Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji assured us, Shuddhadvaya Brahma Vibodhanasya Sarpa Brahmu Rajju Vivekato Yata. By realizing that Shuddha Advaya Brahman, that pure Brahman, moment we realize that pure Brahman, Maya disappears. How? Just like remember that Sarpa Brahmo Rajju Vivekato Yata. Just like how the delusion of seeing that snake on that rope goes away. Remember that rope and snake example that we saw a few weeks ago? The traveler comes and sheds light on that and says that snake disappeared on that rope, that illusion that created such a havoc in my life, how that goes away that instant, the same way. Then, before the break, we saw a detailed explanation of Gunatraya Viveka. We saw how there are three types of gunas, three types of thought textures driven by our gunas: sattva or tamasic, rajasic, and sattvic. Let me see if I have that picture. So this is the post and the ghost example. And here is the picture of Maya shown. So this sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic tendencies that we have. Tamas is that quality of the mind, total inactivity, inertia, negative tendencies, dullness. We often compare in Vedanta to a motionless fan. Rajoguna is often compared to a fan that is in motion. Sattva, which is the subtle of the three gunas, seems like an inactivity for a naked eye, but it's like fan rotating at a very high speed, not often perceptible by the naked eye. We saw how Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji had covered all of this in Viveka Choodamani, and I'll go to a few verses for our reference. You know, easier way to look at it is just like we have a cathode ray tube, CRT, cathode ray tube in our television projecting the images. Same way, the SRT tube, the Sattva Raja Tamo Guna tube, is projecting this world. So let's go through some of the select verses of Viveka Choodamani that we covered. A quick recap, okay? Vikshepa Shakti Rajasa Kriyatmika. Vikshepa Shakti Rajasa Kriyatmika. Yatah Pravritti Prasruta Purani. Ragadayosya Prabhavanti Nityam. Dukkadayo ye manaso vikaraha. Vikshepa Shakti Rajasaha Kriyatmika. This Rajas, Rajoguna, has this projecting power, which is of the nature of activity. You know, what does it do to us? Yata pravritti prasruta purani. I told you this before the break. This is a direct quote from Bhagavad Gita. This power pushes us outward to do this, to become this, to do that, to do this. I'm always out in the world doing this or that. Out of this Vikshepa Shakti, the power of projection, comes what? Ragadayosya prabhavanti nityam dukkadayo ye manaso vikaraha. Then comes various modifications of the mind. I have attachment to this object, that person, so on. I have aversion, raga, dvesha. Fear, bhaya. I am fearful that stock market is at its highest level. Any day it might crash. Greed, pride, sorrow, mana, apamana, all the dvandvas begin. Then we went through 112th verse. Kama krodho lobha dambadya suya ahankareshya matsya radhyastu goraha dharma yete rajasa pravritti yasmad desha tadrajo bandhetuhu. This is the effect of rajoguna, leads to other byproducts, which leads to further down to bondage. What are they? Kama, krodho, lobha, dambadya, suya, kama, desire, anger, arrogance, greed, damba, hypocrisy, asuya, jealousy, egotistic tendencies. So when we are dominantly rajasic, what happens in our daily lives? We can see that outwardly thrust. Hey, I want to go out there, become this, do that. Even if I want to sit quietly, this rajoguna, if it is dominant, coupled with its projecting power, won't let us be quiet. Even if I want to go out to Himalayas in a cave, if rajoguna is dominant, it won't let us meditate. It creates agitations of the mind. In turn, it veils the self. I hope you caught that. Now let us see what tamoguna does. We have already covered this, but quick recap since we had a break. Esha avrutinama tamogunasya shaktirmaya vastvavabhasate anyata saisha nidhanam purushasya samsrutehe vikshepa shaktehe pravanasya hetuhu. This veiling power of tamoguna, rajoguna, projecting power. This is avarana, the veiling power of tamoguna. Esha avrutinama tamogunasya. It veils the truth, makes things appear other than what they are. Shaktirmaya vastvavabhasate anyata. On the rear view mirror of the car, we generally put this warning. What do we say? Objects may appear closer than they are. Like that. This tamoguna, with its power of veiling, avarana, covers the truth. Then Vikshepa Shakti comes in, it projects the unreal, makes it seem real. How? Like that rope and this snake example. That's why we give that illusion. Then the misapprehension of the snake creates the non-apprehension of the rope. We can extend that to the misapprehension of the pluralistic world creates the non-apprehension of the Brahman. So what are the characteristics of tamoguna? I hope you're catching it. I know I'm running it through. What does it do, tamoguna? Abhavana va viparita bhavana sambhavana vipratipatirasyaha samsargayukta युक्तं न विमुञ्चति ध्रुवम् विक्षेपशक्तिः क्षपयत्सहस्रम्. In 116, Agnanam alasya jadatva nidra pramada moodatva mukhastamo gunaha etaih prayukto nahi vetti kinchit nidraluvat sambhava devatishkati. See, abhavana, absence of the right judgment because of tamoguna, or it creates viparita bhavana, contrary notions, contrary judgment. You will say, oh, it cannot be. All this, I don't believe in all this. I need proof, Asambhavana. It creates a doubt, sandeha, vipratipatti. What are the other characteristics? Agnana, alasya, jadatva, nidra. You might be sitting in class, but you might be sleeping behind the scene. It is going all over my head, Inadvertence. All these are expressions of tamoguna. If that is the case, what about sattva? Sattva guna. We covered that aspect of it. Sattvam vishuddham jalavat tathapi tabhyam militva saranaya kalpate yatratmabimbah pratibimbitas san prakashayatyarka ivakilam jadam. Sattva is like this clear water. Jalavat tatapi, like this clear water. Prakashayatyarka ivakilam jadam, like that sun. Sattva guna reveals this entire world of matter. How? Yatra atma bimbaha pratibimbita san. The reflection of Atman reflects clearly in the Sattva Guna, meaning it reflects in our Buddhi. Then what are the characteristics of Sattva Guna? We covered that also. Mishrasya Sattvasya Bhavanti Dharmaha Tvamanitadya Niyama Yamadyaha Shraddha cha bhaktischa mumukshutta cha daivi cha sampattirasannivrittihi. When this mishrita sattva, qualities like amanitva, absence of pride, yama, niyama, he is a very disciplined seeker, meaning shama, dama, shraddha, bhakti, mumukshutva, all these are that burning desire for liberation, all the daivi sampatti, asan nivritti, he follows the nivritti marga. He turns away from the unreal and focuses on the real. Kathopanishad says, avritta chakshuhu amrutattvamichan. So then, if that Mishrita Sattva can do that, what about Vishuddha Sattva? Vishuddha Sattvasya Guna Prasadaha Swatmanubhuti Parama Prashantihi Trupti Praharsha Paramatmanistha Yaya Sadanandarasam Samruchati. Vishuddha Sattva. The characteristics of this pure Sattva Guna, see what Rajas has done. Rajas created the misapprehension. Tamas created the non-apprehension. Both are absent in Vishuddha Sattva. And when the mind and the intellect are purified, Chitta Shuddhi has happened, Swatma Anubhuti. The comprehension of the self happens, Parama Prashantihi. When there is no rajas, there is no agitation, so there is ultimate peace. Trupti, supreme contentment. Praharshaha, pure bliss. Yaya sada anandarasam samruchyate. He enjoys this ananda rasa. So, this is the Gunatraya Viveka we covered. So, how do we do this in our sadhana? It is an evolutionary process, not a revolutionary process, but an evolutionary process. If we are dominant attribute, more tamasic, we cannot straight go to sattva guna. What do we do over a period of time? Slowly giving the mind more and more engagement with the activities, bringing in some discipline to overcome our tamasic tendencies. So if you're named Thomas, tamasic tendency, slowly over a period of time, replacing with the rajasic tendencies, then slowly imbibing the sattvic qualities. Remember, satsangatve nisangatvam, nisangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatatva, nischalatatve jivan mukti. That ladder of progress that Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji gave us in Bhaja Govindam. So now we started our inquiry. Anatma Chintanam is what we have done so far. Shariratraya Viveka, gross body 72 through 74, effects of those who are attached to gross body 75 through 84, subtle body 93 onwards, then Ahankara 120, shlokas 120, 121. So like that, from 72 to 123, he answered, what is this anatma? Now, he summarizes all this in verse 122 and 123. One summary shloka. Dehendriya prana manohamadayah sarve vikara vishaya sukadayah व्योमादिभूतान्यखिलं च विश्वम् व्योमादिभूतान्यखिलं च विश्वम् अव्यक्तपर्यन्तमिदं ह्यनात्मा. Then in 123, he declares, Maya Maya Karyam Sarvam Mahadadeha Paryantam Asadidam Vidditvam Marumarichika Kalpam. This body, Dehendriya Prana Mana Adayaha. Meaning this body, this sense organs, these pranas, mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, all these, he says, are modifications, sense objects, their pleasures, the gross elements, the whole universe, up to the unmanifest, up to avyakta. All these he calls it the effects of Maya. All are anatma. They all belong to the category of asat, unreal. How? Maru marichika kalpam. Another illusory example, like the mirage water in the desert. Same thing Bhagavan Sri Krishna also says in the 13th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. He calls it Kshetra. Kshetra Kshetragnayo Vibhaga. In that he calls all of this as Kshetra. In the language of Druk Drushya Viveka, since we have studied the Druk Drushya Viveka, all of these come to the category of Drushyam. I hope you're making the connection. If all this is unreal, not self, what about the self? That is when Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji also heard our question and says in verse number 24, Atate sampravakshyami, Athate sampravakshyami, Swarupam Paramatmanah, Swarupam Paramatmanah. यद्विज्ञाय नरो बन्धान् मुक्तः कैवल्यमश्नुते. Together. अथ ते सम्प्रवक्ष्यामि स्वरूपं परमात्मनः यद्विज्ञाय नरो बन्धान् मुक्तः कैवल्यमश्नुते. This atha, it signifies a new topic that is beginning. Now he begins to answer what the sixth question that the student had asked. Paramaha ka atma? That was the question. What is this atma? What is this paramatma? What is this self? Now I'm going to tell you, pravaksha, sampravakshyami. What is the nature of the Supreme Self? How do I recognize that? Realizing which, yadvignaya, bandha muktaha kaivalyamashnute. He becomes free from bondage. He attains liberation. But before we get to the specific verses in Viveka Choodamani, since some of you are not exposed to the basic principles of Vedanta, let's cover a few aspects of it before we get into that. So, since pure consciousness or understanding of the self, this reality falls beyond the scope of our mental equipment, mental meaning mind and intellect. This mind projects a false interpretation of the reality due to the effects of Maya and company. We know that. So we experience this pluralistic world. This, in short, in Vedanta, we call it Nama Rupa. names and forms. And this phenomena of projecting and identifying, in Vedanta, it is called adhyasa, superimposition. Just like the snake got superimposed on the rope, like that. The causal body arises out of this ignorance, avidya or ajnana, and because of that, my ahankara, ego, the illusory identity, I have this false ID, this fake ID, this notional identity. With it, what do? I develop an attitude of me, mine, ahankara, ego. Because of this, what happens? I develop a notion of that I am the doer, kartrutva. Then bhoktrutva, that I am the enjoyer. So far, are we good? So, to get this firm understanding of my true nature, that I am Atma, that is why I studied so much of what I am not, what is Anatma. First, that's how in Vedanta, what you are not, then you superimpose and remove the superimposition. It's called Adhyaropa Apavada. So that I can understand with the help of the Shastra or the GPS, Guru Parampara and Shastra, with a process called Atma Anatma Viveka. Meaning, what is Atma, what is Anatma? So far we have studied what is Anatma. So Swami Vidyaranya Muni, in one of the texts called Panchadashi, speaks how we should apply this continuous application of Atma Anatma Viveka. He says, Avicharo Kruto Bandha Vicharena Nivartate. This bondage is caused by avichara, absence of inquiry. Then this avidya is destroyed by vichara. Vicharena nivartate. Hence, one should always practice differentiating the lower self by negating what I am not and realizing my higher self. This is Atma Anatma Vivechanam that I can simplify in a few words. But what is the nature of this self? How do I know? We say self is the enlivener of this individual self. We learned thus what I am not, what is Anatma in a few classes. What did we learn? The three bodies, the five sheaths. I have not covered this in specific to Viveka Choodamani because there is an elaborate number of shlokas in Panchakosha Viveka. The three states all constitute not self, anatma. They are jada, inert matter. They have no sentiency of their own. They're an assemblage of parts. So, in Vedanta or Upanishads, when we study what we are studying, there are several pointers that are given. The nature of the self is indicated as Sat Chit Ananda, which stands for, let me see if I can depict, pictorially show this. See, in this picture, we saw the gross body, the subtle body, and the causal body. What we are talking about, this Om, the self. And here, I haven't covered the Panchakosha Viveka as a part of this Viveka Choodamani yet, but we are talking about the nature of the self, the Om, that which is beyond the gross body and the subtle body, etc. Okay? So that's what I wanted to kind of pictorially show. So in Vedanta, when we say Atma is Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa, this is just a basic introduction I'm giving. In spite of the impossibility to define the Atman, the self, which is Vachama Gochara, it cannot be defined by speech, it cannot be defined, it is not perceivable by our senses, all that. Vedanta makes an attempt to help with some of the words. So it says the nature of the self is Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa. Our Puja Gurudev, Swami Chinmayanandaji, used to say that these are not definitions. These are not mere definitions, but are pointers, indicators to turn our attention to the self, to show us that direction. Once they have done, their purpose is fulfilled. For example, he used to say the pointer never becomes the pointed in his inimitable style, and he would say, if I am pointing to the moon, if I am pointing to the moon, if you keep looking at my finger, you will never see the moon. Your eyes should leave the tip of my finger and travel in the direction in which it is pointing. Then alone you will see the moon, he would say. So I'm pictorially showing that. Same way, these are pointers that are given in our scriptural text. Just like a pole vaulter. Our Gurudev used to give this example of a pole vaulter. He takes the help of the pole to reach a certain height, and then he would catapult onto the other side, leaves behind all his aid, reaches the other side. He drops, gives up the pole, he crosses to the other side. Such beautiful examples he would give. So, too, the seeker in our divine pursuit should use these definitions like the pole vault to pole vault our mind from the not self, from anatma, to renounce those definitions and transcend to the other side. I hope you got that. So Vedanta says the true nature of the self is Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa. I'm going to go over a little bit more today than our usual hours, so bear with me because I want to cover this basic aspect. That existence, consciousness, bliss. So let us take each of these three terms separately in today's class. Sat means what? Sat means that isness, being, existence. Kalatrayepi tishtati iti sat. that which remains unchanged in the three periods of time. What are the three periods of time? Past, present, and the future. That means I was there in the past, I am here now, and I will remain. Few weeks ago, we studied about gross body, Stula Sharira, how it undergoes through 6 modifications. My baby body changes to youth body, old age, etc., etc. I am born, I sustain, grow, and I perish. The body dies. Since I always exist, I am Amara, deathless. I am Anadi, I am beginningless. I am Ananta, endless. I am Nitya, eternal, timeless. Meaning, no changes, no modification. I am Avikari. These are pointers. Avikari. So, what do we do with these pointers, with these definitions? When we start to think, apply it to the three bodies or the five koshas, which we will cover. Do they remain unchanged over a period of time? No. The past and the future, they are called past and future only with respect to the present. That's why our Puja Guruji used to say, present is a present from the Lord. So first we covered the Sat aspect. Now Chit aspect. Chit is translated as what? Consciousness. Chit is that absolute knowledge. Jnana Swarupaha. See, whenever we acquire knowledge, it is gained through thoughts in our mind. Without the thoughts, knowledge is not possible. For example, I say, this is a book, or I say, I am thirsty. I do know all this is possible because of vritti, the thoughts in my mind. But without me, or these thoughts are not possible. We went through Upadesha that aham pratyaya, idam pratyaya. Remember that. I illumine my thoughts, remaining different from them. So we studied this in Druk Drishya Viveka. Now you should be able to link all this. So this chit aspect of Atma gives the capability of all knowledge that is not only in the realm of the known, but also in the realm of the unknown. Think about that. I am not only illumining the presence of thoughts, but I am also illumining their absence in deep sleep. So the self cannot be known as an object of knowledge. There is no need to illumine the self. There is no second source because it is Nitya Jyoti or it is Swayam Prakasha. Self-illuminating. How? Just like when we go outside, to see the sun, we don't need another torchlight to see the sun. It is called Swata Siddha, self-evident. Like that, this self-shining principle or ever-shining knowledge principle is called the Chit aspect or the consciousness, which is my true nature. Second. Then comes Ananda. Atma is Ananda Swarupa, Sukha Swarupa. Self is of the nature of absolute happiness, not gradation of happiness. Remember that Priya, Moda, Pramoda. A thing is dear to me because it gives me sukham. It gives me joy. I love, we say, I love my house, or I love my car, I love my wife, I love my son, or I love my daughter when we say, because they give me joy. Will we say that if they give us dukkham? No. We even disown them. That's why in Bruhadaranyaka it says, Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. I love myself most, unconditionally, totally, eternally. My true nature is never a burden to me. But there is sorrow in limitedness, there is sorrow in finitude. But happiness is never a burden to me. So Atmananda is infinite Ananda. Ananta. Now we know our experiences that different types of joys are caused by different type of objects. For example, there is sattvic joy. Bear with me for a few more minutes. I need a few more minutes today. There is sattvic joy experience when we listen to spiritual discourses or bhajans. Then there is rajasic excitement. When there is a sensory pursuit, then there is this rajasic excitement. There is tamasic delight in stupidity also. That's why we call it ignorance is bliss. Actually, we should say he is blissfully ignorant. So there is gradation of joy. Even amongst different beings in this world, subtler the joy, the experience is proportionately greater. For example, our Puranas say that there is different gradation of joys. A Gandharva, a celestial musician, compared to that of a human being. This type of thing it comes in Taittiriya Upanishad in terms of the unit of joy. So in Vedanta, the nature of the self is indicated in three ways. Very important to know. That's why I'm kind of taking time to explain that. One is called Swarupa Lakshana, indicated directly as Swarupa, meaning Lakshana means definition. For example, I say sugar is sweet. The intrinsic property of sugar is sweetness. The nature of fire is to give heat. Therefore, we don't ask why sugar is sweet. We don't ask because that is its swabhava, its nature. When I say Atma is nitya, eternal. When I say Atma is nishkriya, actionless. When I say Atma is nirakara, without any form. When I say Atma is nirvikalpa, without any thoughts, modifications, etc., I am talking about Swarupa Lakshana of Atma. Then the second way they point out in Vedanta is called Tatastha Lakshana. Is indicated using some sort of an external indicator, external aid. I say Atman is the enlivener of the inert conditioning or enlivener of the upadhi, that which provides sentiency to this jada vastu, that which is not there, that which is not the three bodies, the gross body, the subtle body, the causal body, that which is not the five koshas or beyond five koshas, that which is beyond and the witness of the three states. All these are tatastha lakshana. Let me give you another example. Let's say I'm trying to find a person's house. Pay attention to this. So I'm close to that house. I've entered their subdivision and I ask a bystander, because in these Google Maps, it'll 1 mile before itself, it'll say you have reached your destination. Then you have to find that house. So you're stuck there. So let's say you're looking for Jim's house inside the subdivision, and I ask a bystander, where is Jim's house? And what does he do? He points to that house and says, see that bird that is sitting on the roof? Or he might say, you see that red Mustang that is parked in the driveway? That house is Jim's house. That pointer that he has used as an external aid for you at that moment to give that direction. That is good. But next time you go there, that bird may not be sitting there, or that red Mustang may not be there on the driveway. So these were temporary external indicators. Same way, we use these temporary indicators to indicate the Atma Lakshana. That is called as Tatastha Lakshana. So when we point using the external indicator, we say it enlivens the inert matter, that which is the witness of all three states of existence, like waking, dream, and deep sleep state. We are talking about the Tatastha Lakshana. Then the third method in Vedanta, it is called as Atad Vyavrutti Lakshana. Atad Vyavrutti, by negation of all aspects, that which is not. If I need to show, let's say there is a portrait of Sri Ramachandra, Bharata, Shatrughna, Lakshmana. I want to show Sri Rama. I can say that who is not Bharata, not Lakshmana, not Shatrughna. It is deduced by negation of others. Similarly, I use many descriptors in Atma Lakshana. When I say Atma is Nirakara, without any form, and when I say Stula Sharira, gross body, as a form, so Atma is not that. I say Atma is Nirvikara. We know gross body goes through 6 modifications. Vikara, we know, and Atma is Nirvikalpa, without any modification. I am negating the subtle body. Like that, we can go on with this Atadhyavrutti Lakshana. So in Adi Shankaracharya ji, in one shot, he used all these indicators and defined Atma in Tattva Bodha That which is beyond, let me see if I can pull, that which is beyond gross, subtle, and causal body, Stula Sukshma Karana Sharirad Vyatiriktah. So that pointer, he is Pancha Kosha Atita. He is beyond the five sheets. He is Avastatraya Sakshi. He is witness to all these three states of existence, the waking, the dream, and the deep sleep state. So that, who is that Satchidananda Swarupa? See, all these pointers have one purpose in Vedanta, to point the seeker to that Atma, to that self, my true nature. So, what we should do, we should not be satisfied with just that information because they are just word pointers. So, information to transformation. We should follow it up with a good amount of contemplation, nididhyasana. We need to turn that gnana to vijnana. That is when information to transformation. With that much introduction, let us take in our next class some select verses of Viveka Choodamani and see how he gives us that this thing, how he outlines the nature of the Supreme Self. Thanks for patiently listening. Please stay back for our Q&A session also and our interactive session. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhaved. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrutyorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Tat Sat. May all be happy. May all be healthy. May all see auspiciousness. May none suffer. Om peace, peace, peace. With that, I'll open it up for our interactive session. Please stay back. Thanks for patiently listening. A little extra time today. Let me